just a couple other things. In November of 2022, Laura Daniel Davis, the acting Deputy Secretary, she signed a decision memo that raised royalty rates on oil and gas leases, raised the rates. According to the memo, they said lowering rates would actually encourage more oil and gas development and offer greater energy security. We're worried about energy security for the country. But she went ahead to choose to impose higher royalty rates so that she said the oil and gas production would move to a lower, and she said more socially optimal level, so that the socially optimal level is not what is most interesting for the country in terms of greater energy security. Totally divergent positions. Do you believe that less American oil and gas production is socially optimal for our nation?
So, Senator, I'm not sure I know what socially optimal is, but what I would say is that—
Well, it sounds like it's a religion by this administration and the department right now.
What I would say is that, I know that the administration is pursuing a clean energy transition, and that addressing the climate crisis, lowering greenhouse gas emissions, this is something that is a high priority for us. And we've said this morning that we know that oil and gas production is going to be a part of the energy mix for a long time. And if I'm confirmed as Deputy Secretary, the energy portfolio, it would be, and my understanding the nature of the debate and really understanding what are the contours of the debate, that's going to be my number one priority.
It's, in addition to the contours, it's the long-term consequences of the debate. We had a hearing here a couple of weeks ago that the chairman called talking about long-term energy needs and AI. And even according to the New York Times, the energy needs of this nation 5 years from now, because of AI, because of electrification, electric vehicles, because of crypto, all of those things, it's going to be about like adding a whole new California to the grid. And China is committed to having all the energy that they need for AI. And it doesn't seem like this administration is committed to having that energy needs to be able to compete against China. And that was the result of the hearing here. So I'm talking not just in terms of the consequences long term. So under the current secretary, the department has leased on average 96% less onshore acreage for oil and gas production each year than the 3 prior administrations, even the Obama administration, much, much less. It's also issued on average 93% fewer onshore oil and gas leases each year compared to the prior administrations, including the Obama administration. In your view, is the department headed in the right direction when it comes to oil and gas leasing?
Well, so, again, Senator, haven't been in the policy discussion on energy thus far. I would say that the administration is confident that our plan is going to meet our energy needs into the future. I understand there's disagreement, and if I'm confirmed as Deputy Secretary, I would be then part of that debate and those discussions, and I would look forward to understanding your perspective on them.
Because I think what you just said is true. The administration believes we're on the track to do that. We've had here testifying the FERC, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, and NERC, the reliability. They all say the administration's wrong on that viewpoint. So I'd look forward to you getting deeper into that from a scientific standpoint to see there. The average time under Secretary Holland to get an oil and gas permit is nearly tripled compared to the Obama administration. In one of the BLM field offices in Wyoming, the average wait time is now more than a year and a half. If confirmed, you would be person overseeing the Bureau. Does nearly tripling the time it takes to receive an oil and gas permit sound reasonable to you?
Well, Senator, we've talked a little bit about permitting this morning and across the board, and we know that the permitting process across the board can take longer than any of us really wants to take. And certainly if I'm confirmed, I would look into concerns if there are, as you've expressed, and concerns into the time it takes to process
Sure.
oil and gas permitting or any permitting.
So it gets into the discussion of what we consider reasonable, because the federal law requires the Bureau of Land Management to issue oil and gas leases to winning bidders within 60 days. I mean, that's the current law. The Bureau has refused to issue leases to winning bidders of its 2020 lease sale. It's now 2024. The Bureau is set on these leases for 3.5 years. I mean, those are the facts. If confirmed, you would oversee the Bureau. Is this a good example of an issue that would merit at least your personal time and attention?
Indeed. I mean, certainly. Any issue that is raised by a United States senator would be worth my time and attention. And this is one of them, certainly. And you know, again, this is the perfect example of, you know, where the deputy secretary would step in and say, all right, what's happening? And, you know, and then communicate directly with you, you know, on that point.
Thank you.
Let me just follow up real quick.